just saying. Let me see. I gotta hear you first. I'm just kidding. You got me. She's the Idaho Democratic Caucus showwoman currently. She fights for social justice and civil rights and is looking like a baddie. Give it up.
Man, I don't know if I can do that. That is something. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. It's really amazing to see all the support, obviously, and all the women here, but especially the men that support women for this. Give a round of applause to all men that support women. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was in pain yesterday. Yesterday was a historical day for the dark pages of the history of the United States. I truly believe that there is no action without reaction. And I can assure you this statement, not because I say so, but because we have seen in history. There are many assumptions on how Latinos feel about abortion. And this goes for everybody that is running trying to get the vote on the Latinos. A 2007 joint survey by the respected Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life and the Pew Hispanic Center shows that 57 of second-generation U.S. Hispanics are pro-choice. A new survey conducted by Lake Research Partners found that a strong majority of Latino registered voters supported access to legal abortion, affirmed that they would offer support to a close friend or family member who had an abortion, and opposed politicians interfering in personal private decisions about abortion. I don't think a great percentage of Latinos that voted in 2020 for the wrong politicians had an idea of the consequences. And why do I mean this? I'm going to give you an example. Idaho Republican Lieutenant Governor Janice McGetchen. She got that right. She demanded in May that Republican Governor Brad Little call a special legislative session to eliminate rape and incest as legal exceptions to Idaho abortion law. Shame on them. Repeat it, shame on them.
Shame!
Shame on them.
Shame on them!
Okay, shame on them.
Shame on them!
We know that these type of proposals will not only infuriate the Latino community, but any women that understand the gravity of losing the rights to take decisions over their own body. People escape from other countries looking at the United States of America as a place of freedom of rights. Whether trigger laws the politicians in Idaho and or the country decided to implement, besides already losing the right to choose over their own bodies, will affect in so many different ways. You got that right. You got that right. Repeat it. Fuck trigger laws.
Fuck trigger laws!
One more time. Fuck trigger laws.
Fuck trigger laws!
One more time. I didn't hear it. Fuck trigger laws.
Fuck trigger laws!
Got that right. Latinos are the second fastest growing racial ethnic group in Idaho and the country. And they are diverse in many regards. As a whole, Latinos suffer from poorer health in many measures. At the same time, they are less likely to have access to high quality care. Improving Latino health will require concerned policy intervention on both fronts. And I don't believe Idaho has the infrastructure and the budget to welcome the thousands of children that were not planned. Not to mention that in the last session, legislator Steve Burge shared in his monthly statement how the majority political party wanted to reduce spending, didn't want to take any federal money, and the reality that there is legislators that would like to defund the government to the point that it can function. Shame on them.
Shame on them!
There are already people struggling to raise their children. What kind of education are we going to provide to this new unplanned generation? The Latino community is already marginalized. Schools in Idaho already have cut their budget on education. Housing is a huge issue in the Latino community as a whole. Now we can imagine for a Latino community trying to survive with a very low income, paying their main need, food and roof, buying a property is turning from being a dream into a nightmare. And that goes for everybody. We are already in a budget deficit. How they're planning to provide the clinical and welfare that those children, that those new children are going to need. How? They won't. They don't have it. They never thought about it. They don't care. Marginalized groups like the Latino community don't have the access right now. For those that carry this unwanted, unneeded agenda of reversing Roe versus Wade for a long time, I have something to say. The street has two ways. Repeat it with me. The street has two ways. 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 And this is exactly what we're going to do. Latinos tend to be highly group-oriented. A strong emphasis is placed on family as the major source of one's identity and protection against the hardship of life. And I think that goes for all the families in particular. This sense of family belonging is intense and limited to family and close friends. I know that the Latino community will fight back. And even though church leaders took a position against pro-choice, and politicians utilize this principle as a way to forfeit their agenda, once you lose the trust of the Latino community, the community itself, you will lose it for good. And for those who didn't think or they thought that they got the Latino community, let me tell you something. Most of the Latinos come from countries where church and state are separate. 74% Latinos support a women's right to make decisions. Yes. 73 Latinos don't think we should judge other women's decisions. Yes. 67 Latinos are supporting their close friends and family members choosing abortion. Yes. 43% say they would provide a lot of support. Yes. 61% of Latinos don't think money should determine access to abortion. Not that they have it now, although they will have to travel large distance when they don't have means. Last but not least, 68% Latinos are willing to disagree with church leaders. Latinos are still nearly 3 times more likely to be uninsured than non-Hispanic. 1 in 4 Latinos have no health care. I'm afraid that Republicans and all the religious institutions and organizations that support the overturned Roe didn't think about the consequences. Shame on them! Shame on them! Shame on them! Shame on them! A conservative state that already limits access to health care. Shame on them! Strict abortion laws often have limited access to health care and lack of choices for effective birth control. Schools have often have ineffective and inadequate sex education. Shame on them! Shame on them! Bloody have the hardest time traveling to distant parts of the country to terminate pregnancies or raising children they might struggle to afford. Shame on them! Shame on them! We're talking about a group who are already marginalized. We're talking about women that are already marginalized. Michael Nodakis from Ohio Right to Live, is telling in an interview in NPR News last night that if women don't receive help, they can always choose to adoption. Really? I don't believe we give birth to give the kids away. Having children is a responsibility that women won't have to face. I don't play the responsibility. I don't want the responsibility. It won't be the state responsibility. It will be our own responsibility. Here's the consequences. 22 states are not willing to give you